morning. Welcome to the Solo Bureau. Seeing as this is our first ever show, I thought I'd take just a second to introduce myself. I'm Claire Murphy. Now, some of you may already know me. I've been working as a broadcast journalist for more than 20 years now, the past 7 of those hosting a daily news podcast for a women's media network. But after being made redundant last month, I've decided to try my hand at doing this thing solo, hence the name. Now, a few very important things you should know about me. I'm an exennial, Scorpio, and I am deep in my romantasy era. I may even occasionally recommend a good one, but first and foremost, I love bringing news stories to you. I've been told my superpower is taking a complex issue and making it easier to understand, which is something that I will endeavour to do for you every single day that I bring you this show. Now, AI is moving faster than even those who made it can keep up. And while AI has its place in streamlining processes, it has no place in news. It might be used to do basic research, but never more than that. I will never allow it to write news stories or advise me on how news should be presented. I certainly won't be cloning my voice for news purposes either, so know that every day you hear me talking to you on this show, it is actually me. I'll also make the promise to you to remain as unbiased as any human being possibly can be. Now, this means presenting as many sides to an issue that are morally possible. So that will mean that sometimes you're going to hear something that makes you feel a little uncomfortable. And despite all your little fibers telling you that that is not right, it's actually a good thing. It means that we're all learning together. But my job is to bring you the information on what is happening on this day in our world. Things that impact us directly, things that feel far away but have implications for us all, and things that are just plain interesting. Some days we'll be expanding on particular stories to get more behind the scenes info. Other days we'll be reporting on all the major stories. The news cycle will take us wherever it decides, the fickle beast that it is. But while I am doing this alone, there is another very important person in this equation. You. You see what's happening in your neighbourhood, what's taking over your social media feeds, and what's impacting you and your friends and your family. So, I'm asking for you to be my co-host. Let me know what's happening in your life and allow me to take that story to the audience. Right now, the best way to do that is go follow the Solo Bureau on Instagram and send through the details via DMs. I'll make sure the link is also in the show notes. Without further ado, here's what's going on in your world today. The Victorian state government has unveiled a new plan to support those who may find their jobs on the line due to the introduction of AI. The $14 million plan includes an $8.2 million career rescue scheme, which will aim to support workers in at-risk industries. Now, Victorian Premier Jacinta Allen says it's always been the Labor way to make sure that workers are supported during times of transition and times when workers are seeing what they knew was their work being disrupted by outside forces. The plan will work to fast-track at-risk employees to work in specialist AI and other tech roles before that same tech makes them redundant. The move will see around 6,200 Victorians upskilled in these areas. The world is already starting to see the impact of AI-driven workplace disruptions, with Aussie tech company Atlassian recently axing 1,600 jobs, including 500 of those here in Australia. The company cited AI caused changes to the workforce needs. Amazon globally culled 16,000 jobs, including wiping out entire departments in favour of AI-assisted workflows. But the exact number of jobs lost to AI at this point remains hard to accurately snapshot, as some companies like Telstra, for example, referred to recent employee downsizing as company restructuring. The other side of the argument, though, is that the tech is also creating jobs, and some experts are saying that those jobs are being created faster than the rate of losses. According to the Commissioner of Jobs and Skills Australia, job losses linked to AI adoption could surpass 4% of the country's 14.8 million employees, and that equates to roughly 600,000 roles across the broader economy. And research by the Social Policy Group estimates that by 2030, between 21% and 33% of the Australian workforce could face a period of unemployment as AI integrates deeper into the economy. South Australian Premier Peter Malinauskas has revealed the country's first neighbourhood exclusively for first home buyers. The initiative, part of a pre-budget announcement, will put aside $50 million to eventually see 400 new homes allocated to an area north of Adelaide that can only be purchased by first-time homeowners who won't have to pay stamp duty on the newly built homes. Mr Malinauskas referred to it as the nation's first ever first home buyer neighbourhood.
The reason why we're doing that is to give them the best chance of getting access to the market. What we care about is providing young people in South Australia the opportunity to get home ownership in the way that their parents did. They don't get outbid by someone who's already been in the housing market for a decade and built up equity.
Civil works are already underway with help from a $50 million federal government loan, with 30% of the allotments to also be classified as affordable housing, capped at $259,000 for eligible buyers. Over in the West, and widespread power outages impacted tens of thousands of Western Australians yesterday as a powerful storm lashed the coast, including the capital city, Perth. Images have been sweeping social media showing the storm's power, with massive tides, flooding and wind gusts of up to 117 kilometres an hour. 102 on Rottnest Island, and hopefully someone new to tell all those cute little quokkas to batten down the hatches also. There were around 130 power outages across Perth, impacting more than 14,000 customers. Perth local Callie was preparing for the storm to hit last night, saying the day wasn't too bad, but as the sun set, the wind did start to pick up.
What started out as a really lovely rainy Sunday where I got to stay in bed and read my book for a while has now turned into us batting down the hatches tonight. The storm is coming. It is windy AF. The rain is coming down. It's been on and off all afternoon, but now we're really worried about that wind. So we are currently out the front, tying down our trampoline and anything that will move, because as we know, Perth loves a big windstorm.
The unusually deep low-pressure system is expected to head across western parts of South Australia today before moving across the Adelaide region later in the day. If you've been following the progress of the AUKUS agreement, where Australia aligned with the US and the UK, securing nuclear submarines in the deal, they've just made it a little simpler. Instead of us waiting for new subs to be built, the US government realising that they were struggling to make enough for themselves, let alone extras for Australia, the federal government is now going to buy 3 Virginia-class submarines that are already in service. Defence Minister Richard Marles, who's currently in Singapore, says the trilateral agreement was incredibly complicated and that any move to simplify it would be beneficial. Also making it easier is that all 3 of those submarines are exactly the same, which means it will be easier for the Aussie sailors who will need to learn how to man them and for those who work on maintaining them. Israeli troops are now further into Lebanon than they have been in more than 25 years, capturing a strategic mountaintop castle. The capture of Beaufort Castle came after days of intense fighting and airstrikes in nearby villages, Israeli troops fighting members of the Iranian-backed Hezbollah militant group. The area is 15 kilometres from the Israeli border and was held by Israeli troops for 18 years until they withdrew from the country in May 26 years ago. Large areas to the south of the castle are now under Israeli control, despite the peace deal struck between Iran and the United States back in April. Hezbollah has also sent rockets into Israel's largest northern city, Kiryat Shmona, the group saying it was in retaliation for strikes that killed civilians in Lebanon. Another of the Jolie Pitts children has decided to become Jolie only, with the ex-couple's eldest son deciding to drop dad's surname. 24-year-old Maddox has joined sisters Shiloh, Vivian and Zahara, who've all dropped Brad Pitt's surname in recent years, sticking with mum Angelina Jolie's only as they've become old enough to make the decision themselves. The move comes after years of reports of violence and resentment between the former married couple who split in 2016. Thank you so much for listening to this very first episode of the Solo Bureau. I promise from now on there'll be much less of me and more of you. So remember, if there is news happening around you, shoot me a voice note or a DM on the Solo Bureau's Instagram. Also, and I know so many podcast hosts ask you to do this, but it is for a good reason, I promise. If you rate and review us in your podcast app, it actually helps us get seen. It's algorithm business, and if anyone has got it sussed yet, please let me know how to tame it. Basically, I need your help to grow this thing. For those of you who've followed me from my previous job, I love you and I thank you. You've been the reason I've gotten out of bed at 4 a.m, even though perimenopause probably woke me up at 3. Catch you tomorrow.